Hi, good evening, everyone. I think we'll just see some people joining in.
Hi, Samet. Good evening.
Hi, good evening to all those who are joining. Just give us a minute or so. We'll begin with the session shortly. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, good evening to all those joining. We'll just be starting the session shortly. So just before we start the session, I'm going to be showing you a small video about HCL TechBee program. Sorry, just a second. Looks like there was a little bit of a technical glitch. I'll just try playing that video again.
In India, there are few institutions which prepare you or make you job ready. So there is a lot of competition to go into that institution.
As we know in India, a guy who is pursuing B.Tech or M.Tech, he's doing his master. After that also, he's unable to get a job. I interacted with so much technologies. I interacted with Java, C++, and I'm doing practical also.
Cloud computing, cyber security, operating system, basic and advanced, networking, basic and advanced, and parallelly we are learning communication skills also.
I, before getting into HCL TechBee program, did not know that I had leadership skills, good communication skills and all.
Giving opportunities to a 12th grade student, it's giving opportunities to fresh minds.
So thank you everyone for joining us. I'm glad you're here. You took out some time for us today. And we bring you here for a very special session with a senior leader from HCL's leadership team, Mr. Rishi Kumar, who is the Vice President at HCL Technologies, and he leads HCL's delivery center in Lucknow. So a brief introduction. In his current role, Rishi is responsible for global delivery and operations involving program management, portfolio management, customer engagement for mid to large size customers at HCL. Rishi is a certified project management professional and is certified in IT Infrastructure Library V3 Rishi completed his Advanced Business Leadership Program from the Indian School of Business. He's also a certified iCoach, which is an ideapreneurship coach at HCL Technologies. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, Rishi. We're glad to welcome you here.
Thank you, Sanad. My pleasure also to be part of this session. I'm really excited about it.
So yes, so Rishi, as just to give everyone context of why we're here. So of course, this is the peak of the admission season for us. And TechBee is alive and running, as you know. The program is now open and accepting applications from class 12 students. So we'll get right into it, and share a lot of information about what we're doing this year and the people who we're taking in. But before we get into TechBee, I wanted to kind of understand from you about your experience at HCL. I mean, you've been with the organization now for 23 years, I believe, and you've had a storied career. So please, just to start off with, please tell us about your professional journey with HCL.
Definitely, Sanat. So, as you said, it's been 23 years when I joined HCL Technologies. And in short, if I have to tell, I mean, this journey has been full of opportunities for me to learn, feel, experience, and grow from learnings. As you move on, you learn and grow. Be it on the front of work satisfaction, family work life balance. It has been a real good experience. And do people think who are here that is staying in an organization for 23 years is easy? Or would any one of the audience would like to be in a company for 23 years? Yes. So, HCL is an organization that gives you that flexibility. You spread your wings, you soar high, you get all that platform that you need to enhance your personality and develop yourself, nurture yourself, and never look back of changing an organization. So this journey has been really exciting for me. I grew from role perspective, from experience perspective, and a lot of opportunities came on my way. I joined as a fresh engineer from college, and here I am today managing a center, as you talked about. So a lot of it comes as you become part of HCL family, I would say, Sanat.
So thank you, sir. I'm sure it's been a roller coaster of a ride for you the last 23 years. So since we're talking about applications and we'll be helping candidates here talk about applications, we're going to tell them about how they can apply for TechBee and selection criteria, etc. Why don't you tell us, 23 years ago, how did this opportunity at HCL come to you, and how did you exactly go about applying, or how it came your way?
During those times, it was very tough. And honestly, speaking about it, it wasn't this easy because 23 years back, industry expected when HCL would go out, or any company of HCL's league will go out, they would look for highly trained and ready to perform job kind of individuals. So the expectation was very different, and they would pick one or two, or sometimes in campuses, or they would not even select anybody if they don't find the person can come and perform job. Time has changed completely. We have come so far in terms of looking at actually the trainability. So today we are looking for trainability in individuals. When we talk about TechBees, we look for, can we train them and make them industry ready? So big difference in terms of finding a job earlier and today. I would also be honest in telling that we did not have such opportunities like TechBee program, even 10 years back. Forget about 23 years back. We didn't have such programs, that offer such a great platform for 12th pass students to come forward, get training, and get into jobs right away, become industry ready. So a lot has changed. I can't compare both. Today, the opportunities are a whole lot, I would say.
Yes, definitely. I think it was almost unheard of if you told someone 23 years ago or 25 years ago that okay, you can get an opportunity in global IT with leaders in the industry right after class 12. I mean, at first a lot of people ask this question, I think, but yes, of course it is possible. And I think I think I've seen that the kind of exposure that students have in school now, with the kind of subjects that they pick up, definitely there is enough scope for them to actually come into the workforce and add value for clients and organizations alike.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So moving on, I thought it would be interesting, to know about your transition earlier from, say, college life into a professional stream and into an organization like HCL. So please do tell us about how that transition from being in class to being at work was for you.
That is very interesting. Going back those years and talking about how was the transition. I had really to paint a larger canvas because I come from a humble background, a small town in Uttar Pradesh. That's where I come from. Dreams were small, and corporate was the first step. As I entered into HCL, I would be telling all the aspirants here that my communication was weak, and I had some sort of mother tongue influence. MTI, what we call as, also was there. And when I joined, I would watch and listen to my peers, to my colleagues. Colleagues came from all over the places. They joined HCL, and I had to learn from each and every individual. Every day, at times, I would go back and say, "Oh my God! I mean, I'm into an environment where I have to learn everything: how to dress up, how to talk. There are phone conversations going on with customers. How would I talk to them? There's a lot of focus on business etiquettes. How do you behave in corporate environment? And then there is technology. I know very little. There is so much to learn. So it was mind-boggling experience. For 3 to 6 months, and every day was learning. So I kept on learning, and I would say after 1 year, I found that I am completely a transformed individual. So that was my first experience. Hell lot of learning and entry into a different world with dreams to excel, dreams to grow. I never thought what I would become one day. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. So HCL gave me so much, um, in terms of I can say learning and grooming myself, not only professionally but personally. So I was well groomed in the first 2 3 years, whereas I would say when I joined I was very raw.
Yes, yes, certainly. So, sir, talking about grooming and talking about how you picked up these skills. Now, since you're at you're in Lucknow, you're completely entrenched in the kind of trainings we do for TechBees there as well. Could you please shed some light into the kind of training that is done for TechBee scholars in Lucknow in particular, and perhaps give us some insight on what kind of roles they actually end up working. What kind of work they end up doing, so that our followers also know.
No, so that's very important, I think, for our aspirants, our TechBees, future TechBees to know also. So just to set some ground, we today we have about 4,000 to 5,000 TechBees in different stages already within HCL. We started with this program some 5 years back. We are into Steam now. So when TechBees join, we understand, these are bright young minds who have joined us, and we know how to nurture them. So the kind of training they go through is, I mean, first part is some sort of basic fundamentals, IT essentials, which is common training. Whoever is joining has to go through that. It's like
Mhm.
you get into a stream, and 3 months, 6 months, you go through something. From there on, they move into their respective technology tracks, their process tracks. HCL is a large company. I mean, just so the ones present here know, we are 1,68,000 employees worldwide, and more than a lakh in India, more than 120,000 we call it in India, and basically there are four large line of businesses that we are into. So after the common training, you get into specific technology, process, and domain training where you are going to be part of. So, for example, it's not that one person will be learning in your language all sort of languages, which is .NET, Java. Everybody is not supposed to learn all of that. Depending upon where you are going to perform your job, you will probably be learning Java or a .NET or a Oracle or a focused Windows or a Linux or a data engineering or a Python. So these are various technology tracks where you will be put part of, where you'll be imparted not only training on these technologies, but also lab exercises, assessments. So this whole thing will go on for 1 year, wherein you will also do your internship, or you can say on-the-job learning in the project. So you have classrooms, in the project learning, technology, labs, and that's when after 1 year you are ready to perform job and you get into the job. First year is some low-hanging fruits, what we call it, easy jobs that you can perform. We understand that you are new to this organization, you are new to industry. So 1.5 years, some easy jobs, and that's where you start picking up speed. At the same time, your higher education also goes on. You pick up, you become
Of
lead.
course, yes.
So opportunities are immense. I think with other questions, Sanad or somebody has, I would talk about what kind of roles in future they can perform. But they can go into technology tracks, you can go into business track, you can go into domain track. I mean, endless opportunities.
Sure, sure, sir. So we'll definitely touch upon that as well. But before we do, I thought it's important to talk about the back end of TechBee, the brains behind it, the entire support system that actually brought alive the program from where it was just conceptualized. So please do tell us how this actually came about, this idea to bring in class 12 students and train them and bring them up to speed. Say in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, no, very pertinent and very relevant question. I think each one of us should know where we are coming from. Why TechBees? A very relevant question. I mean, today when classically industry has been hiring, B.Techs or graduates, why TechBees all of a sudden? So first and foremost, the seed of TechBee was sown by none other than our founder and MD, Mr. Shiv Nader, HCL's founder and MD today. And he always used to think, and this is not 2-3 years back, many years back, I mean, more than 2 decades back, he was thinking that the jobs that we perform can be very well performed by, youngest minds, young minds, youngest mind, whatever. I mean, 12th pass students who are bright and young can perform our jobs. And not saying that when they perform the job, they don't do their higher education. They can do their higher education while performing the job. So that's what, his vision was, and it took many years for that vision to materialize. So we believe that these minds can perform the job equally to the individuals that we hire today. And not only they can perform the job, I think they will be most innovative at jobs also. Our industry requires a lot of innovation, a lot of thought process at work to transform, to suggest to our customers that this can be done differently. And that comes from TechBees is our belief. And that belief has started to show in reality as we are into fifth and sixth year of hiring TechBees. As I said, 4,000 to 5,000 are already into the system.
Yes.
So I
yes.
hope it answers, Sanad. If I didn't answer, please.
No, absolutely, sir. And I think you've given us a good insight. I just to add on, I also feel, and this is just my perspective, that this is actually very common. I mean, someone working right after school is very common, maybe out west, as compared to India, where we are more traditional of okay, first secure your degree, then move towards securing a job, because cover your bases and then you'll be able to do better. But what I've seen with TechBee scholars and with the program in general is that your foundations are set right when you enter the program. Those first 3 months are going to be, setting you up, say, for the next 3 years, in your professional journey. So that's the interesting part. So yeah, I think there's a lot more, opportunity that it also brings you, because you're getting into a professional stream of work, so to speak, as well.
Exactly.
Yes. So let's move forward, sir. Let's share some more insights. Let's answer some more questions that we've received. So if I may touch upon, while you briefly talked about this, I want to talk to you about what specific skills TechBee scholars learn and are trained on. What exactly, what kind of jobs they could get into. I know you said you would touch upon that more. So I thought this is a good time for us to take that up as well.
No. Yeah. I mean, I also meant that when somebody asked from the audience, I'll answer. But yeah, let me go into the details of it. So specifically, when they join this program, when I said common set of training or IT essentials, is it good? My visit?
Yeah. Please proceed.
So when they get in, very pointedly, technologies or the basics of basic courses like computer organization, operating systems, architecture, then Windows basics, Linux. We talk about databases. We talk about process testing models. All these basic concepts are part of your common learning that happens in the first 2-3 months. After that, depending upon stream, somebody might be learning the Windows track, so he is going to get expert into Windows and then Linux, which are operating systems and form a very major portion of our infrastructure services. Another important thing to point out here is for all the potential scholars or aspirants here, they just might think IT jobs are all about coding and development. It's not like that. I mean, it's because we are taught some languages like C, C++. These are the languages which are taught in schools and colleges, and we tend to think it's all about these languages. But the world is different. The gamut of IT services is much, or the whole spectrum is much bigger than these languages only. So when you go into your track specific training, you might be first of all Java, full stack Java. There is .NET, full stack .NET. You might be getting a specialized training on just similar, plain Oracle and PL SQL because you are going to be on database track. We have a data engineering track. We launched it last year, and there are TechBees who graduated, if I can use the word graduated, who graduated from data engineering track. They learned Python. They had to touch upon little on cloud, Tableau. So, it all depends upon which technology you are part of or which track you are part of. If you are part of the network track, you would be learning network data, network voice. If you are part of storage is not just SQL database, many databases. You will end up with learning how to design database systems. So it's a very wide spectrum. But in a nutshell, what I want to tell is that the industry today is serving across technologies, across infrastructure segments, and you will be part of the most latest, most niche technologies and spectrum that is in the industry today. So that's how the training will go on. And after training, you are part of, if somebody has a question that, what will I do in my career after my training is over? Okay, I'm trained on one technology. I get into a project or I start my job, start earning salary. Then it's on you. As I said, from there on, your capability, your skill, your passion will decide where you go. You might become if I talk about short-term goals, in 10 years, you might become a very good project manager. Project manager is one who is technical also and can manage people also. Some of you might just want to choose pure technology, will become a technology lead, tech lead we call it, will become a technical manager. You will want to be very, very technology specific. Some of you might be a database administrator. Some of you may become network specialist. So as you progress in your career, all these horizons will open up in terms of technology, domain, different kind of segments, industries. All those will open up within HCL itself.
Sure. Great. Thanks for that insight, sir. And I think it's very comprehensive. You just gave us a very comprehensive view of, what all is available to someone to actually grow into or actually, step into right after your training. And I'm sure, I've seen enough cases at HCL, where I've seen people grow from the technical side, and actually spread their width in terms of, what skills they actually possess. What tracks they work on. So I'm sure that those kind of opportunities too, are present to people who get into TechBee program. So yes, So yes, let's move forward, sir. Could you give us, could you give the viewers here, probably a step-by-step view on how they can apply for the program? While of course we do keep sharing, and our links keep running in our communication. Thought you could also, take them through the application as such.
So I would, while, as you said, Sanat, while all the applicants can go and see, it's easy to do, but you go to hcl.techbees.com and you will find all the links. I mean, these guys, you all guys are experts in finding how to register and all.
Yeah,
You register.
our website ticker is running, yes, as
So
well.
you can register, and once you register, your online exam will be scheduled. And after you have cleared your online exam is typically constituting of three segments or three parts: communication, which is English, your aptitude and reasoning. And once you qualify in that, there is an interview. We don't call it interview exactly; we call it interaction. There is an interaction that we are going to have with you, and post that interaction, you are all set. If you are selected, you are found eligible. So eligibility, selection in online, selection in your interaction, you are all set. You become part of HCL family. uh, you'll be contacted, all the formalities will be done, and you will join the HCL TechBee program right away. It's not that you have to wait for 6 months, or there is a July schedule, nothing like that. So
Yes.
we keep on we keep on entertaining candidates throughout the year. So
Yes,
that's the
yes.
beauty of
Enrollments are running even now. So to everyone who's viewing, you can head to the link that you see on running on the bottom of the screen, which is hcltechbee.com. You can register, and after registration, please do verify your email, post which you can complete your application form, which requests for certain specific details about you. After which you can, schedule the exam sir is talking about, and then be start your entire process of onboarding into HCL and the interview and so forth. So yes, sir, please tell us about tell the viewers about the kind of higher education opportunities that you also get simultaneously while pursuing your career with HCL and TechBee.
very important to tell, because that's the underlying success criteria of this program as such. uh, that we understand that the higher education, as I was telling, our MD's vision has also been that you perform the job and continue pursue your higher education. And the higher education that our TechBees are pursuing is from the most reputed colleges, universities, namely BITS Pilani and Shastra University. And why we have these two collaborations is they offer two different set of progression in terms of higher education. For example, BITS Pilani would offer a BSc in Design and Computing, followed by MTech. So our aspirants can go for Design and Computing, followed by MTech, and Shastra will give the option for BCA and MCA. So both of these are open, and while being in HCL, they can complete their higher education. The courses, assessments, and everything is designed keeping in mind their jobs. Even if there are shift jobs, it's designed to take care of that. So being in campus and everything remotely through online, they'll be able to pursue and complete their higher education.
Sure. Thank you for that, sir. So let's also talk about some questions we receive often, and I've seen this, over the past few sessions we've done as well. A lot of people have this maybe a fixation, or they're a little traditionalist in their approach, and they say, oh, but when I enter a TechBee program, I don't do a B.Tech. For my higher education, I get options of BSc and BCA. But sir, just I want your opinion as well, to kind of put minds at rest as well. Uh, uh, Tell us about what this difference really is. Is there firstly a difference if you're also getting trained for a job with TechBee, but pursuing a BSc or a BCA as opposed to B.Tech? Should there be a difference in your career at all?
I have always been, I mean, yeah, this question comes very often, and I always say, look at it. I mean, when you are in a train, let's not talk about at what speed train is moving and what is happening in the train. let's talk about where you are going to arrive. So if I have to say, look at 4 years later, what's going to happen. So if I was to choose, I would choose TechBee over doing a BSc or going into B.Tech, because my career is getting advanced by 4 years. After 4 years, I am a graduate from a reputed university. I have a 3 years, because in 4 years you have 1 year of internship and training, and I have 3 year industry experience. Industry experience, and not an industry experience in a small company. Industry experience of working on global platform, an organization which is among the top IT service provider in India. You are the most sought after, hire after 4 years. So companies will look at you for hiring. Who would not want to hire you? At an age of 22 years, you are having 3 years of industry experience on global customers, and you are a graduate. What else? Definitely, if you choose this route, you have to really be passionate and work hard for these 3 4 years. Success and those achievements, if they were to come for free, I mean, everybody will take it. So it's a path that you will choose, but at the end of 4 years, you will be at a double, triple advantage than the ones who join B.Tech and they will come and join HCL 4 years later. So that's what I have to say. Yeah, and 4 5 years, those techies who have joined us, they realize that this is the right step they took. So that's how I see it, Sanat.
Yes. Thank you for that, sir. So I also see while you were speaking, we got a couple of questions on whether the degree you get from Sastra or BITS Pilani is distance learning, or or if it's a regular degree. I actually wanted to kind of take that on myself and also point out that I feel nowadays the lines are very blurred between a distance learning and a full-time course, because from what I see over the last year, all classes are also virtual, and also all programs are accredited. The BSc and BCA programs that you get from the universities that we've partnered with respectively, those are completely, verified and UGC approved programs. So there is no difference. Please, your take on that, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we had sessions with Shastra and BITS for our existing TechBees also. Many times this has been clarified, and in fact, we should be calling it work integrated learning programs. WILP is what we should call it. Many times, I am also used to call it correspondence learning, but it's actually the work integrated learning program. And there might be one or two institutions where accreditations, you going outside and accreditations recognized or not, you might be having these questions. But this has been clarified to our existing students many times that there's no difference. I mean, you have it accredited. The accreditation is as good as any other university or any other degree that you get. So I think you should not be thinking about that.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for clarifying that. And I hope that answers some of the questions that we were receiving as well. So, sir, I want to understand from you now. We've spoken about how to apply, how you get in. We've spoken a little bit on the type of training. We'll touch upon that a little bit more as we proceed. But I want to understand from you, once training is completed and the job, when you actually get into the job, what kind of roles TechBees, what kind of projects TechBees actually work on? If you could shed some light on that.
Sure. We talked about technology and some of the roles. What these projects are, if I have to take a hypothetical, example, I think that would help. Let's say, and I will take 1 minute, and not more than that on this.
Yeah, of course.
When many of our aspirants just go to Google, everybody does Google. They just see a small search box and think that it's a small website. It's a very simple website anybody can develop. But there is today we recognize there's a lot happening behind that search box. So one is this application that you see is running. It's English, Tamil, so many languages. Then you see every important day there is a ticker on the Google. The logo will change. Dress it up according to the event of the day. Then the search is very intelligent. It knows what you have been searching. It gives you the most recent or most widely viewed answers. All these things are, if I have to put in the gamut of AI, not AI, but a lot of intelligence, search intelligence, very complex programming. So one obviously comes as application development straight away, a lot of algorithms, application development. Then imagine across the earth, so many people simultaneously hitting Google, but it is not slow. It runs at the same speed. How many servers can you believe are there? Millions of servers. Are they sitting in US, California? They are sitting all over the world. So you will find them in Shanghai. You will find them in some part of US, Cedar Rapids, and other parts of the world. Those servers are sitting in server farm, what we call it. So there is application. Now there is infrastructure, because you are talking to server is nothing but infrastructure. How much hard disk space you need? It's no more hard disk. It's virtual memory. So storage can come in. So like this, if I keep on talking, this will open up the entire spectrum of applications, product, research, technology. As I said, storage, you need backups, you need TCP/IP, you have probably C++, your complex algorithms where threads are written. You have this web application, which is probably in Java. Then you have some other things which are, analytics, which is in, BI, some kind of BI tool. You might have Informatica. So it's everything. And where HCL works on each of them. If you have a Samsung, Samsung is our customer, and Samsung's customers are calling to get help on, hey, my TV is not installing. Even we do that as part of business process consulting and business process services. So you will be part of all of this. So our TechBees have gone into the streams of, now I'm coming to specific application development, product development, testing, test automation, network engineering, monitoring also, support, enhancements. So these are the different type of work that you will be doing. And these are the domains. Who are our customers? Our customer is not only Google. You can be part of a retail customer. You can be part of a media and entertainment. You can be part of a telecom customer. So domain is one, technology is second, and the kind of job is the third layer. So these three layers are there, and you have the flexibility to move across if you excel in terms of your capability and skills.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I think that's very insightful, and I'm sure this is going to help a lot of the applicants, break down exactly their expectations from the program and understand the depth of, our business and how HCL also operates. So, sincere thanks for that. So we'll move forward, sir. Again, while you were speaking, I saw a couple of comments which I think we should take up. There's 2 points that you could share your inputs on. So people are talking about stipend. They're asking what is the stipend, at what point is this actually given to candidates in TechBee, and also on the fee for the program.
The fee for the program, I'll start with fee first and then the stipend also. The fee for the program is 2 lakh rupees plus the taxes. So that's for all our IT services programs. We have some associate programs also, for which the fee is 1 lakh plus taxes, and taxes are, depending upon 16 to 18%, 18% taxes. So that's the fee, and you get loan support also, which I would not go into the details of it, but we have a very good loan support also. And
yes, we do provide financial assistance.
We always believe that it should not. One of the finest points that we had when we launched this program, 5-6 years back, was that people from all backgrounds. As I said, I come myself from a very humble and small town background. I would so for them it's encouraging that they can come without putting a burden on their parents. So the loan is designed in a way you do it and you pay it off when you start to earn. So that's how those kind of structures are also there. Coming to stipend, the stipend is typically given during your internship. We call it internship. You can also understand that when you are on the job training, when you are with the project, till the time your online training, or we can call it classroom training, is running, the stipend is not there. During an internship, the stipend is there. How long is the internship? Internship can be 6 months, internship can be 4 months, depending upon the track that you become part of. But on an average, you can say 6 months, 6 months. That's how you should take away.
Sure. So, sir, we always talk about making young minds in India financially independent with TechBee, and of course, this is a very straightforward ask as well from a lot of the aspirants who join us. They want to know, okay, what is the salary that we'll be starting with? What is it that we actually take home, when we do start our job with HCL? Because of course, they look forward to actually, being financially independent and being able to, afford a life for themselves and not depend on anyone at home, and probably even help out at home. So please, could you shed some light into the salary as well that these scholars draw?
Yeah, the salaries, the starting salaries for our TechBees is 2.2 lakhs from for prime locations. When I say prime locations, meaning the metro locations, and the TechBees joining in other locations, which can be Lucknow, Madurai, Nagpur, and some other identified location. It is 2 lakhs per annum is their CTC to start with, which goes through a point-to-point based appreciation and appraisal based growth year on year.
Sure, sure. So thank you for sharing that as well, sir. I'm sure a lot of the questions that we just received are answered. So we'll move on, sir. Let's discuss something we haven't yet, and I purposely kind of left this for towards the fag end of the discussion. I want to understand from you, how exactly is our training designed, and what does it focus on, for these scholars, and how it builds them into their career, how it prepares them to start their first job.
So, I mean, we touched upon it, but I did not go into those details. So we want to prepare a very solid foundation. So first is their foundation skills is what we want to build. The training is designed to impart that portion first, followed by we want them to develop expertise on very specific tracks. So then it goes on to track. So first is foundation, second is technology track. So these are two. In parallel, there is communication, very high focus on communication, which runs throughout. So we want them to be very strong when they go and actually become the full-time employee of HCL, to be strong on their communication front, be it spoken or written, because email communication is very common. So that's the third component of it, their communication skills. So these were the three: foundation, technology, communication, and fourth one where, we talk about cognitive, non-cognitive skills, but fourth one is everything else which has process and the business etiquette part of it. Also, as a component when they hit the business. Hit the business meaning they hit the project. They go and start on customer projects. All our customers, people ask why so much of focus on process, because I talked about three things: foundation, technology, communication, and the fourth one was process and other behavioral etiquettes, business knowledge, and all that I talked about. All of this is important because none of our customers are based out of India. All our customers, 97, 98% of our customers are sitting outside of India, which is US, UK, rest of the world. And that's why communication gets so much of focus. Process gets so much of focus, because if you are working on a UK-based project versus US-based project, you are working on a safety equipment project, you might be required to follow processes. Like an example is, can I print this document and take it home? So our future TechBee is here. No, some projects will say when you enter in the workplace in HCL where you work, when this Corona thing is over and you enter into your workplace, you'll have to keep your mobile outside. And when you take a printout, there's a shredder machine. So that printout will go into shredder machine, and you cannot take that printout out. You cannot send any email while working in HCL to your Gmail account. You will sign a document that I will not do these things. The area where you are working is, the glasses are tinted up to the ceiling so that nobody can peek into what you are doing, the kind of work you are doing. So you might have access to a lot of credit card information of our US citizens. So that's why process, that's why communication, and that's why technology and everything. So there is a reason to it. And that's what is meant by industry ready. So we make you industry ready. And I talked about so many things. You can imagine if you are into this environment for 2 3 years, what kind of transformation is going to happen in you. So I'll
Certainly.
stop here. There is it's a vast topic, but I'm sure our aspirants have been able to get a gist of it and can make out what a job in IT and a large company HCL family looks like.
Yes, certainly, sir. I think, I mean, I'm sure everyone understood. And just to summarize, I think it's just about setting your foundation, getting into skill specific, sects, and also understanding more about, overall organizational values, the ethics we follow that you spoke about. And then, of course, you're kind of on your way into HCL. So, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to show us, show our viewers another video, post which we will take up, questions from the audience directly. While we have touched upon a few, I see some of them that may be repeating themselves, but it'll be good for us to kind of put those
Yes.
doubts to end. So yeah, just a second, I will be playing the video short.
जनवरी 2020 भारत में पहला कोविड-19 केस और फिर शुरू हुआ अनिश्चितता का दौर। लाखों दुकानों दफ्तरों में ताले, स्कूल कॉलेज बंद। इसका सीधा असर उन लाखों बच्चों पर पड़ा जो 12वीं कक्षा की पढ़ाई पूरी करने के बाद एक उज्जवल भविष्य का सपना देख रहे थे। वो बच्चे नहीं जानते थे कि आगे क्या करेंगे, उनका भविष्य कैसा होगा, नौकरी मिलेगी या नहीं। लेकिन इसी साल कई लाख बच्चे ऐसे भी थे जिन्होंने HCL TechBee के लिए आवेदन किया और चुने गए बच्चों ने HCL Technologies, जो कि भारत की बड़ी टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनियों में से एक है, के साथ अपने करियर की उड़ान सुनिश्चित की। अब भविष्य को लेकर इन बच्चों के मन में हौसला है, डर नहीं। HCL TechBee HCL का एक अनूठा करियर प्रोग्राम है जो 12वीं के बाद सीधा HCL टेक्नोलॉजीज के साथ काम करने का मौका देता है। यही नहीं, HCL के साथ अनुभव हासिल करते हुए इन बच्चों को बिट्स पिलानी और शास्त्रा यूनिवर्सिटी जैसे नामी संस्थानों से हायर स्टडीज करने का मौका भी मिलता है। इस साल कोरोना महामारी दोगुनी ताकत से आई है और हमारे देश के 12वीं के बच्चों का करियर एक बार फिर अनिश्चितताओं के दौर से गुजर रहा है। क्या आप भी उनमें से एक हैं? तो आप क्या चुनेंगे? ग्लोबली रेप्यूटेड आईटी कंपनी के साथ एक निश्चित करियर या अनिश्चितता का एक नया दौर? फैसला आपका है। HCL TechBee प्रोग्राम में आज ही आवेदन करें और अधिक जानकारी के लिए www.hcltechbee.com पर जाएं।
Thank you. Thanks for your patience. So, sir, just before we start taking questions from the audience, I think it's very important, and I actually say this as an HCL employee. I think it's very important for us to talk about, the benefits and initiatives HCL has for employees in particular. Specifically in this pandemic, how I would say privileged we've been, a lot of us to be able to work from the safety of our homes. The vaccination drives that are being done. Please, do share your views on that as well at an organizational level. Yeah.
Sure. That's you brought a very different aspect of employee care, Sanat. HCL as an organization has believed in taking care of its employees. If I be very particular to Corona times, we have had this flexibility to work from home. Other industries did not have, but within the industry also to work from home. And the organization made sure everybody goes into the laptop mode. A lot of our employees were working using desktops, so all of them were given laptops. It was dispatched, delivered so that they can work from home. There have been, counseling programs running, free vaccination drives happening when the time came. Now we are also running in Lucknow and various other centers of HCL vaccination drive are going. We have worked with our insurance partner to come up with excellent schemes to which employees can choose from to take care of not only themselves but their families also. There are long-term benefits, that as an employee, when our audience here or the aspirants here join us will have. There has been tweakings very quickly. Our organization, our HR team has been able to take a decision and tweak those benefits. So the employees are benefited during this time. They can take salary advances, as I talked about. Vaccination is one. Insurance policy tweakings is one. There is advanced salary which were processed at a faster place because many of the employees needed advanced salaries and all. Our many of our centers have in-house healthcare systems where employees and their dependents have been able to go. We have HCL Healthcare. Outside of Corona, also HCL Healthcare is there, which invites employees, their dependents, for their checkups and any doctor consultations. Those things are done. Our HCL Healthcare has been equipped during Corona times better. There is COVID helpline, which all of us had to. A very different experience. HCL as a company has done so much, to help employees typically in this Corona time. Numerous list of things that are there. We have access to 1-800 number. For example, we were also impacted, me and my family, and the doctors I consulted for my entire family were all HCL Healthcare doctors. So I didn't have to go out. It was all HCL Healthcare who helped me what medicines to take and all the support 24/7. So that's it's the numerous list of things, as I said.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for sharing. The entire, gamut that HCL kind of takes care of for its employees and, make sure, the well-being of employees and their families. So yes, with that, we'll jump right into the questions we've received from the audience. I'll pick up a few. So right off the bat, I see one question. You may have answered this, sir, but just to kind of clarify, I will bring it up again. So what is the exam pattern and syllabus for the career aptitude test that we have?
A syllabus, I would not be able to explain the syllabus.
So when I say syllabus, the kind of questions that are asked, you had touched upon the different.
Yes. So these are these are three sets or three sections of the test, online test that one has to clear. First is your English. Second is reasoning, and third is your quantitative. So English, quant, and reasoning are the three sections that one has to attempt. The total duration of the test is 45 minutes you get. And if you ask me, cutoff and all, I would just say that you should not be focusing on one section and finish it completely and leave the other section. There are cutoffs in each section. So you should definitely attempt and pass 50% in each of them to move forward. If you don't do that, you score, just 5%, 10% in English and 100% in quant and English, you are disqualified. So you have to be equally good in all of them. Try and be above 50% mark from there. And then obviously there is weighted averages and all, which we take and then invite you for interview.
Yes. Thank you for that, sir. So on the same lines, we have another question that we can perhaps take on. It asks about when exactly the exam would be conducted. And just to start off, I would say that there is no specific one date for the exam. When an applicant registers and after completing their application in full, our counseling team will help you schedule your exam, as per your availability and as per the next date available as well. So it could actually be, depending on your preparation, could range from the next day to a few days or a week away from when you've actually spoken to our your counseling team. Sir, if you have any perspective to share on that, please feel free.
No, you are right, Sanat. I wanted to say the same. There is no particular timeline that you need to adhere to register and take your exam. It's all around the year that exams are happening. Once you register and you will be scheduled for exam, and throughout the year you can give. You have two attempts uh, in a year. That's very important to tell that. You can take one attempt. I'm sure you will clear. Most of you will clear in one attempt. If you don't, you can take the second attempt after a week. But if unfortunately you're not able to clear both these attempts, then you are eligible after 1 year.
Yes, yes.
That's very important.
Yes. So we also see some recurring questions about stipend, sir. If you want to clarify, I think people are a little unsure of the duration of when you actually start earning your stipend with TechBee. Would you want to touch upon that?
Sure. So as I said, once your foundation training or the IT essentials training, uh, I use these words, and your track specific technical training. These
Yes.
trainings are going on. We call it that phase as CRT, classroom training, although the classrooms are virtual now. So that's your classroom training. During classroom trainings, typically you are not getting any stipend. How long this classroom training is? Out of 1 year, on an average, 6 months is your classroom training. So you don't get a stipend for those 6 months. Seventh month, you are
Eligible to start.
mapped to a project, or it is decided that in which project or account of HCL you will go, and that's when you move into your internship phase and you start getting your stipend for another 6 months.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that, sir. So yes, we have another question, and again, so some of these may be repeating. You would have touched upon these, but I think since people are asking, they may have joined late. We'll take those questions on too. So this is actually a little bit of a tough one, sir. While you have touched upon this, they're asking what is the status of a TechBee as compared to that of a B.Tech graduate who's a fresher right out of college. Who ranks higher? Is the question, but I'd let you answer in your own way, taking on, who's probably better positioned. I'd leave you.
I would have asked the name of the person who is asking, but I'll not do that. So, very good question, and you should be asking that question. So, I would answer it from my perspective. There is no written answer to this question. I would answer it from my perspective in terms that who would I prefer? If I am running my project, I would take a B.Tech or I would take a TechBee. As I said, it was vision of our MD and founder, Mr. Shiv Nadar. Before I was told this, I would have said that TechBee I have not heard of. I would prefer a B.Tech, but I have been into this 6 years. Today I say I prefer TechBee for two reasons. Technically, a B.Tech pass out is not industry ready. Technically, he has not been trained on any of my technology. My project involves, Oracle PL SQL and some work I am doing on Tableau. And I want this person who is coming to be very good in his written English. I want him to be aware of what HCL culture is, because my customer is very tough. I want TechBee because TechBee would have been trained on these things, and then he's ready to deploy, ready to use for me. Whereas the B.Tech, scholar or a person from outside I'm taking has not been that trained. So that's technically. Second, talking about behaviorally, TechBee has been with me for 1 year. He was with my project for 1 year, 1 full year, 6 months with my project and 6 months in training. I have been able to better groom him, train him on my technologies, on my environment. He knows behaviorally what is required. He knows my process. So behaviorally, you will be much more equipped than somebody who we have not nurtured. We are nurturing you for 1 year. That's why my choice is a TechBee over a B.Tech.
Certainly, and I completely agree with that perspective, sir. That you're made ready for the job and not just ready, to complete a set of a course. So that's where the differentiation really comes in for me. But that's just my personal opinion. So yeah, I'll just take up one last question. Here. So we're asked when will the new batch for TechBee start, and I think I'll take that. I'll take that answer. I mean, yeah, sure. You could of course obviously chime in as well, but I would just add from my side that there is no specific date for starting off, a particular batch. However, we do try to, when we have a specific class size, we try to go ahead with the training to begin. So
Yeah,
these happen on a rolling basis. Please, sir.
yes, I think you answered it, and I also gave. But if there is a specific question, as soon as, or let me be very specific in answer, you clear the month. Let's say in month of June, you are selected. You clear your registration. You are registered. You clear your online exam and interview, and you are on board. So most probably in July, your training will start. That's a simple one. So in
Yes.
extreme cases, it may be August, but it's not like you are selected today and 6 months later your training will start. So it's the same month or the next month the training starts.
Yes, absolutely. So, sir, with that, I think we'll wrap up the session. I think we've run out of time and we've taken up most of the questions we've received. So, for anyone who has not, whose questions we have missed out on answering or have not been able to touch upon, please feel free to write to us on the below email ID. We'll be more than happy to get in touch with you. And an even faster way for you to get a response from us is to register and complete your application. Once you've completed your application for TechBee, submitted the requisite documents or details that we require, you will be able to connect with our counselors directly and get information on when your aptitude test can be scheduled, followed by the discussion. So yes, please do visit www.hcltechbee.com and register today. We will be signing off. Thank you so much, sir, today for your time.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you, Sanat.
Thanks, everyone.